Chapter 2 Section 76 Tarakasa relinquishes heaven on the advice of Lord Brahma. After being driven away from the heaven, the deities went to Lord Brahma to seek his help. They asked him as to how they could get rid of this menace called Tarakasa. Brahmaji revealed to the deities that Tarakasa could be killed only by such a person, whose parents are Shiva and Parvati. He also advised them to make efforts, so that Shiva agrees to marry Parvati. Lord Brahma then went to Tarakasur, who had now become the king of heaven, and tried to convince him to return it back to the deities. Tarakasur agreed to relinquish the heaven and give it back to the deities. The deities went back to the heaven. Chapter 2 Section 77 Kamadeva sent to Lord Shiva. Lord Brahma told Narada that the deities decided to send Kamadeva to influence Lord Shiva so that the marriage between him and Parvati is felicitated. Indra called Kamadeva and told him that the demon king Tarakasa could be killed only by such a person who was the son of Shiva and Parvati. Indra instructed Kamadeva to arouse passion in Lord Shiva, so that he agrees to marry Parvati. Kamadeva, accompanied by his wife Rati, went to Lord Shiva to accomplish his mission. Chapter 2 Section 78 Efforts of Kamadeva. After reaching the place where Lord Shiva was engrossed in his meditation, Kamadeva made repeated attempts to arouse passion in the heart of Lord Shiva, but his actions were no avail. Right then, Kamadeva saw Parvati arriving accompanied by her companions. She was looking divine in her beauty. Just at that moment Lord Shiva too had come out of his meditational trance. Kamadeva thought that it was the most appropriate moment to have a go. Kamadeva struck Lord Shiva with his Kamabana, which did have a deep impact on him. Lord Shiva was struck by the awesome beauty of Parvati and his heart became full of passion for her. But at the same time he was surprised at the sudden change in his behavior. He realized that it was an act of Kamadeva. Chapter 2 Section 79 Kamadeva reduces to ashes. Lord Shiva looked all around him. He saw Kamadeva standing towards his left side, with the bow and arrows in his hands. Now he was fully convinced that it was indeed an act of Kamadeva. Kamadeva became terrified. He started remembering God, but before the deities could come at his rescue, the third eye of Lord Shiva got opened and Kamadeva was reduced to ashes. Parvati got scarred after seeing Lord Shiva in such a destruction anger. She went to her house along with her companions. Rati, the wife of Kamadeva, wept unconsolably. The deities arrived and consoled her by saying that by the grace of Lord Shiva, her husband would be alive once again. After that the deities went near Lord Shiva and did his worship. They told him that it was not the fault of Kamadeva, as he had acted in accordance with the aspirations of the deities. They also told him the mystery of Tarakasa's death. The deities then requested him to make Kamadeva alive once again. Lord Shiva told the deities that Kamadeva would take birth as the son of Krishna and Rukmini in the era of Dwapar. A demon by the name of Shambar would throw him off in the sea. He would kill that demon and marry Rati, who too would be living in a city near the sea. But the deities were not satisfied. They requested Lord Shiva to help Rati to unite with her husband. Lord Shiva then told them that Kamadeva would become his Gana, but he also warned them against revealing this fact to anybody. Rati then went to the city where the demon Shambar was expected to appear in the era of Dwapar. The deities too went back to the heaven. Chapter 2 Section 80 The anger of Shiva subsides. Lord Shiva's anger did not subside after the death of Kamadeva, and the whole world started to feel the wrath of Lord Shiva's fury. All the living creatures became terrified. They went to Lord Brahma and prayed to him to save them from Shiva's wrath. Lord Brahma went to Lord Shiva and conveyed their request to him. Lord Shiva agreed to relinquish his anger. Lord Brahma then carried Shiva's fury to the sea and went to the sea. He requested the sea to possess it until the final annihilation. The sea agreed to do this. This way Lord Shiva's fury entered into the sea and all the living creatures felt a sign of relief. Chapter 2 Section 81 Narada preaches Parvati. When Parvati reached her home, she became very sad as she was unable to bear the sorrow of Shiva's separation. Sage Narada arrived there. Her father Himalaya narrated the whole story to him. Sage Narada then gave the 5-lettered mantra Om Namah Shivaya to her, and he also instructed her to do penance. Parvati's heart was filled up with new enthusiasm. Chapter 2 Section 82 Parvati does penance. After taking the permission of her parents and relinquishing all of her ornaments and royal apparels, Parvati went to the same place where Lord Shiva himself had done penance. This sacred place was situated at the Himalayas, from where the holy Ganges originated. Parvati's companions too had accompanied her. Parvati commenced her penance, which gradually became severer day by day. She did penance for 3,000 years by chanting the 5-lettered mantra Om Namah Shivaya and performing other kinds of austerities. Becoming impressed by her tremendous penance, even the deities flocked to see her. Parvati did her penance, surrounded by fire on all her sides during summer. In rainy season she did her penance without any shelter, and during winter she used to do penance by immersing herself in neck-deep water. Chapter 2 Section 83 The deities go to Lord Shiva. Parvati's power created such heat in the atmosphere that the whole world started to burn. All the deities' sages went to Lord Brahma and told him about the effects Parvati's penance was having on all the 3 worlds. Lord Brahma, accompanied by all of them, went to Vishnuji. They visited the place where Parvati was doing her penance. They realized that Lord Shiva was the only remedy, and hence all of them went to Lord Shiva and made salutations to him. Chapter 2 Section 84 Salutations gives his approval. Lord Shiva inquired about the purpose of their arrival. Lord Vishnu then revealed to him that how distressed and tormented were the deities by the activities of the demon Tarakasa. He also told Shiva that he could be killed by such a person, who is born out of the parentage of Shiva and Parvati. Lord Vishnu then told Shiva about Parvati's penance. Initially Lord Shiva refused to comply with their request, but when the deities continued with their insistence, he ultimately gave his consent. The deities became very pleased. Chapter 2 Section 85 Parvati's love for Shiva tested by the Saptrishis. After the deities went back, Lord Shiva summoned the Saptrishis, Vasishtha etc., and instructed them to test Parvati's love for him. The Saptrishis went to Parvati and tested her resolve to marry Lord Shiva. They tried to deter her by all means, but Parvati was firm in her resolve. They went back to Lord Shiva and narrated the whole story. Chapter 2 Section 86 Lord Shiva tests Parvati. Lord Shiva then himself went to Parvati in the guise of a Brahmin. Parvati, on seeing a Brahmin, welcomed her with full honor. Shiva asked Parvati as to why was she doing penance. Parvati told him that she wanted to have Shiva as her husband. Lord Shiva, who was in the guise of a Brahmin, started cursing Shiva to see how Parvati reacted to it. Parvati replied that in spite of her penance Shiva did not appear, so she has decided to give up her life in burning pyre. After saying like this, Parvati requested the Brahmin to go back and she herself entered into the burning pyre but remained unharmed. Lord Shiva was very pleased to see her firm resolve and devotion. He again asked her as to what was the purpose behind doing such a tremendous penance. Chapter 2, Section 87, Parvati's Reply. Parvati told the Brahmin, who in reality was Shiva himself, that she wanted to have Shiva as her husband at any cost. She said, "You say that Lord Shiva does not possess anything, not even wealth. He does not put on clothes on his body. You also say that he is not fit to be a bridegroom of me. But all of your utterances prove your mean intelligence." Chapter 2, Section 88, Shiva reveals his true identity. Parvati, continuing with her statement, said that Shiva was the most capable deity in all the three worlds. "There is no sin greater than condemning Shiva," said Parvati. As Shiva, who was in the guise of Brahmin, was about to say something, Parvati said to one of her companions, "This condemner should be killed. If this is not possible, then we must leave this place at once." As she was about to leave that place, Lord Shiva revealed his true identity and by holding her hand said, "You have been my wife since time immemorial. Where are you going?" Parvati became very pleased and her heart was filled up with extreme joy. She requested him to take to her father regarding their marriage. Lord Shiva agreed. He went back to Kailash mountain and narrated the whole story to his Ganas Nandi, Bhairav, etc. Everyone became very happy and awaited eagerly for the day Shiva would marry Parvati. Chapter 2, Section 89, Shiva demands Parvati as his consort. Parvati, after successfully accomplishing her penance, came back to her home. Everybody was happy at her arrival. After some time, Himalaya went out to take his bath in the river Ganges. Meanwhile, Lord Shiva arrived in his appearance of Nataraj and started dancing in front of Parvati's mother Maina. She was so pleased by his dance that she wanted to present jewels to him in appreciation, but Shiva refused to take them. He expressed his desire to marry Parvati, which made Maina furious. In the meantime, Himalaya arrived and she informed him what Shiva had said. He became angry too and ordered his attendants to drive away Nataraj, Shiva, from that place. Shiva then showed his divine appearance, due to which Himalaya had the vision of Lord Vishnu and Parvati sitting by the side of Lord Shiva in him. Himalaya was very surprised. Lord Shiva again demanded Parvati to be made as his consort, but Himalaya in his ignorance again refused it. Nataraj then returned back to his abode. After Shiva went back, Himalaya had a feeling that perhaps it was Lord Shiva himself, who had arrived in the appearance of Nataraj. He realized what a grave blunder had been committed. Because of their guilt consciousness, both Maina and Himalaya felt the germination of devotion in their heart. Chapter 2, Section 90, Shiva's Delusionary Power. Indra and the other deities became afraid when they saw both Himalaya and Maina having deep devotion towards Lord Shiva. They apprehended that if Himalaya happily agrees to marry Parvati with Shiva, then he would no longer live on the earth, he would attain salvation. His departure would make the earth devoid of jewels and other kinds of wealth. To prevent this from happening, they went to Brihaspati and requested him to influence Himalaya's mind by condemning Shiva. But Brihaspati refused to comply. The deities then went to Lord Brahma and made the same request. Brahma refused to meet their demand. Now the deities went to Lord Shiva and requested him not to marry Parvati as it would make the earth devoid of all kinds of wealth. Lord Shiva, feeling pity, agreed to help them. Lord Shiva went to Himalaya in the guise of a hermit and started cursing himself. Shiva Mana was deeply influenced by the hermit's word and decided not to marry Parvati with Shiva. She also threatened to give up her life along with Parvati if Parvati was married with Shiva against her wish. Chapter 2 Section 91 Shiva instructs Saptarishis to convince Mana Himalaya. Lord Shiva summoned the Saptarishis and instructed them to convince Mana and Himalaya to marry Parvati with him, so that Tarakasura could be killed. He feared that his actions would have created many misconceptions in their minds. The Saptarishis went to Himalaya and tried to make him, so that Tarakasura could be killed. He feared that his actions would have created many misconceptions in their minds. The Saptarishis went to Himalaya and tried to make him understand that there was not any other way out than marrying Parvati with Shiva. They also warned both Himalaya and Mana if they did not give their consent to marry Parvati with Shiva, then she would be forcibly abducted by him, Shiva, causing death and destruction to their whole clan. The Saptarishis then narrated the following story. Chapter 2 Section 92 Anaranya, the King. There was a king named Anaranya, who belonged to the lineage of 14th Manu Indrasavarni. He was a great devotee of Lord Shiva. He had 5 queens from whom 100 sons and a very beautiful daughter named Padma were born. When Padma grew up, the king started looking for a suitable match. One day while Padma was taking her bath in the Bhadra river, sage Pipparada arrived there. He became enchanted by Padma's beauty. After gathering informations about her from the people, he went to King Anaranya and expressed his wish to marry Padma. He threatened him of dire consequences if she was not married to her. Anaranya became frightened and gave his daughter to him. Sage Pipparada happily went away accompanied by Padma. But both the king and the queen went to the forest because of the sorrow of giving their young daughter to an old sage. The queen died because of her grief. The king, because of his deep devotion towards Shiva, attained to the abode of Shiva. Chapter 2 Section 93 Padma and Pipparad. On the request of Himalayas, Sage Vasishtha, who was one of the Saptarishis, narrated the story of Padma the princess and Sage Pipparad. At the time of his marriage, Sage Pipparad was old and weak, but still Padma devotedly performed the duties of a faithful wife. To test her faithfulness towards her husband, Dharmaraj arrived at the bank of that river where Padma was taking her bath. He was in the guise of a young and handsome prince. He coaxed Padma to leave behind her old husband and come along with him. Padma became furious and cursed him. Dharmaraj became very pleased and revealed his true identity. He also asked as to how the effects of her curse could be nullified. Padma told her that his sins would result in having 4 legs during the year of Satya, but they reduced to 3 during the year of Treta, which would again reduce to 2 legs during the era of Dwapara, and ultimately he would have only 1 leg during the year of Kali. Padma also told her that even his single leg would disappear during the ending phase of Kali. This would appropriately act as an atonement for your sins, said Padma. Dharmaraj blessed her by saying that she would have 10 sons and also that her husband would possess youth and long life for eternity. After listening to this story, Himalaya agreed to marry Parvati with Shiva. The Saptarishis then went back to Lord Shiva and gave the good news to him. Chapter 2 Section 94 Himalaya sends Lagna Patrika. Himalaya then requested sage Garga to prepare a beautiful Lagna Patrikas which were then sent to his near and dear ones. He then requested Vishwakarma to construct a beautiful mandap for the marriage, which was constructed by him in a very short time. Chapter 2 Section 95 Lord Shiva invites the deities. Lord Shiva invited all of his Ganas to the marriage ceremony. He also instructed sage Narada to intimate all the deities, sages and the celestial entities. After getting the invitation from Shiva, everybody started making preparations to be a part of Shiva's marriage procession. The seven mothers Brahmi, Maheshwari, Kaumari, Vaishnavi, Varahi, Aindri and Chamunda dressed him up beautifully. Shiva then performed all the necessary karmas to pacify the planet. At last this wonderful marriage procession of Shiva proceeded towards the in-laws' house. Chapter 2 Section 96 Lord Shiva's marriage procession. Shiva proceeded with his marriage procession, which consisted of crores of his Ganas and deities like Vishnu who abode on their vehicles. Even Narada and Lord Brahma were present in his, Shiva's, marriage procession. First of all, Shiva sent Narada to Himalaya's house to inform him about their marriage procession arrival. Himalaya sent his son Menak to receive them. Chapter 2 Section 97 Shiva Divine Plays. When Meena saw that the marriage procession was coming, she curiously told Narada about her desire to see her son-in-law. Shiva understood the arrogance which her desire contained. He wanted to teach her a lesson. He sent all the deities one by one. Meena mistook each one of them to be Shiva, but was later informed by Narada that in fact they were not Shiva but the attendants of Shiva. Meena was very delighted and wondered how handsome the master, Shiva, must be, if the attendants were so handsome. Right then Shiva arrived with his Ganas, his body coated with ashes on it. His Ganas too were looking ferocious. Meena could not bear this horrible sight and lost her consciousness. Chapter 2 Section 98 Meena's Wail. The maidservants arrived instantaneously and helped Meena to regain her consciousness. She started crying and cursing everybody she thought was responsible for her daughter's marriage with Shiva. Nobody was spared: Narad, the Saptarishis and even her own sons. She even admonished Parvati by saying, "Did you do severe penance to get such a horrible husband like this, Shiva?" Lord Brahma and Narada tried to console and convince her, but it was of no avail. When Himalaya tried to intervene, he was soundly rebuked. Meena threatened him that if this marriage took place then it would be the last day of her life. At last Lord Vishnu arrived and tried to pacify her anger by saying that her anger was baseless as she had not seen the real appearance of Shiva, which bestows benediction. Lord Vishnu and Narad then eulogized Shiva, who on being pleased showed his most enchanting beauty. Meena now became fully satisfied. Himalaya too felt proud of her daughter's good fortune. At last Shiva entered the mandap, canopy, where marriage ceremony was going to be organized. He saw Parvati sitting there. Both of them were very delighted to see each other. Chapter 2 Section 99 Himalaya bestows Parvati to Shiva. After the marriage ceremony was over, Sage Garg helped Himalaya in performing the rite of Kanyadan, amidst the chantings of Vedic mantras. The women were singing auspicious songs. Himalaya presented large quantities of dowry to Shiva. Parvati's companions were engaged with Shiva in jocular and humorous conversation. Chapter 2 Section 100 Shiva brings back Kamadeva alive. Rati, the wife of Kamadeva, seeing the moment opportune, arrived and requested Shiva to bring back her dead husband back to life. Her wailings made the other goddesses very sympathetic towards her. They too requested Shiva to make her dead husband back to life. Feeling pity on her condition, Shiva brought back Kamadeva back to life from the ashes which Rati had given to him. On seeing her husband alive, Rati's heart was filled up with extreme joy. Both of them eulogized Lord Shiva and expressed their gratitude. After the marriage ceremony was over, the marriage processionists sought the permission of Himalaya to make a move, but he requested them to remain there for some more days. Chapter 2, Section 101, Shiva's departure. Shiva remained at his in-laws' house for many days. One day he sought the permission of Himalaya to go back. Everybody became sad at the prospect of Shiva's departure, especially Maina, who was very saddened by this news. At last it was time for Shiva to depart for Kailash, accompanied by Parvati. Lord Shiva and Parvati were blissfully enjoying their martial status, unaware of the eagerness with which the deities were awaiting the arrival of their progeny. Tarakasura the demon continued tormenting the deities. When their miseries became unbearable, they went to Lord Brahma to seek their help. All of them then went to Lord Vishnu. They told him that even after passing of such a long duration of time, Parvati and Shiva had not yet become parents. They requested Lord Vishnu to remind Shiva about the purpose behind his marriage. Initially, Lord Vishnu showed his disinclination to disturb Shiva's martial bliss, but when the deities insisted, he went to Shiva accompanied by all of them. All of them eulogized Shiva and Parvati. The deities then requested Shiva to make his contribution in the destruction of Tarakasura. Shiva understood everything. Some drops of his semen fell down on the ground. One being insisted by the deities, Agni transformed his appeared in the form of a pigeon and pecked up those drops of semen. Right then Parvati arrived there and became extremely furious on seeing the semen going waste. She cursed the deities that their respective wives would remain issueless as the consequences of their mindless acts. Agni was having inflammation in his stomach because of the Shiva semen. Lord Shiva advised him to transfer it into the womb of any noble woman. Agni followed the instruction and injected the semen into the body of 6 women through the pores of the hair on their body. Those women could not bear the extreme luster of the Shiva semen. They went to Himachal and evacuated it. Even Himachal could not bear its extreme effulgence and immersed it into the flowing Ganga. River Ganga carried it with her current and established it amidst bushes of reed, Sarkanda. Instantaneously a beautiful child manifested from it. His birth made all the deities extremely joyous, including Shiva and Parvati. It was the 6th day, bright half of the lunar month, of the Hindu month of Margashirsha. He was Kartikeya. Chapter 2, Section 102, Kartikeya. Sage Vishwamitra arrived at the spot where the child had manifested. On the repeated insistence of the child, Vishwamitra performed his purification rites and named him Guha. The divine child blessed Vishwamitra and bestowed divine knowledge to him. He also blessed him to become famous as Brahmarshi. Agnideva arrived there and gave a divine weapon named Shakti to that child. Guha went to the Kronja mountain and banged his weapon on it. The mountain could not bear the effect of the blow and started crumbling down. Innumerable demons living on that mountain came to kill him. But the child killed all of them by his weapon. When Indra heard about his bravery, He came along with other deities to fight him. Indra assaulted Guha with his Vajra on the right side of his body, which resulted into the manifestation of a very powerful entity named Shak. Indra again assaulted him on the left side of his body, from which manifested an extremely powerful entity named Vishak. Indra assaulted Guha for the third time. This time his chest was the target. From this third blow of Indra manifested Nigam. Guha, accompanied by all the three powerful entities Shak, Vishak and Nigam, attacked Indra and his army, but they fled away. 6 goddesses arrived on the scene. All of them tried to feed that small child out of affection. They started quarreling among themselves. Right then they were surprised to see the child appearing with 6 heads. Now their problems were solved. Each of the goddesses fed their breast milk to the child. They took Guha with them and brought him up with great love and care. Guha later on became famous as Kartikeya. Chapter 2 Section 103 Search for Kartikeya. One day, Parvati curiously asked Shiva about his semen which had fallen on the ground. Lord Shiva summoned the deities and asked them about it. The deities narrated the whole story. Both Shiva and Parvati were very pleased to know about Kartikeya. Lord Shiva then ordered his Ganas to bring Kartikeya from the possession of Kritika. The Ganas reached Badrikasharam where Kritika lived. When Kritika saw the Ganas, she became very frightened, but Kartikeya gave him solace. The Ganas requested Kartikeya to come along with him. Kartikeya happily took permission from his mothers and proceeded to meet Shiva and Parvati. Chapter 2 Section 104 Kartikeya's Coronation. At the time of Kartikeya's departure, the mothers had become very emotional. Kartikeya consoled them. He then boarded the beautiful chariot which had been sent by Parvati and proceeded towards Kailash mountain. All the deities including Shiva were eagerly awaiting his arrival. When Kartikeya reached Kailash mountain, he was given a royal reception. The whole atmosphere was filled up with joy. Everybody was celebrating. Each of the deities presented him their respective weapons to him. Lord Shiva coronated him as the king with the help of the Brahmin. This way he had now become the lord of Kailash Puri. Chapter 2 Section 105 Kartikeya's Amazing Character. Kartikeya narrated a story connected with himself. One day a Brahmin, whose name was Narad, came to me and requested me to help him find his he-goat which had got lost. He told me that the goat was supposed to be offered as the sacrifice. If the goat was not found, my vow would remain unfulfilled, said Narad. I went in search of that goat. I found it in the Vishnu Loka where it was creating nuisance. When the goat saw me, it tried to attack me with its sharp horns. I climbed on its back. After traveling through all the 3 worlds, the goat returned back to his original place. I climbed down from its back. Narada arrived and demanded his goat. I told him that his yajna had been accomplished by my blessings and there was no need to sacrifice the poor goat. Narada the Brahmin went back satisfied. Chapter 2 Section 106 The Battle. The deities were very encouraged by the presence of Kartikeya amidst themselves. They were beaming with confidence and enthusiasm. The deities assembled at the seashore. Tarakasura arrived there with his huge army. The battle began. Tarakasura appeared to be invincible. His blow was so severe that Indra fell down unconscious. All the Lokpalas met the same fate. After that, Tarakasura fought with the Veerbharata and made him unconscious. Even Lord Vishnu could not sustain for long and was ultimately defeated. Lord Brahma requested Kartikeya to fight with Tarakasur as nobody except him would be able to kill him. Chapter 2 Section 107 Killing of Tarakasur. On being instructed by Lord Brahma, Kartikeya came forward to fight with Tarakasur. Tarakasur ridiculed the deities for taking the shield of a small child. "If he gets killed by me, the responsibility should lie on you," thundered Tarakasur. A fierce battle started between both of them, in which both of them got injured. At last, seeing an opportune moment, Kartikeya hit Tarakasur on his chest with his weapon Shakti. The blow proved to be fatal, and as a result Tarakasur died. Kartikeya's feat was hailed by all the deities. After killing Tarakasur, Kartikeya went to Mother Parvati, who affectionately took him into her lap. He was eulogized by all the deities. Chapter 2 Section 108 Killings of Pralambanasur. The mountain Kronj, who was tormented by the activities of the demon named Banasur, went to Kartikeya and narrated his woeful tales. Kartikeya threw his weapon Shakti in the direction which Banasur lived. The weapon banged right on target and returned back to him. Banasur was burnt to ashes. Kronj went back being very pleased. The mountain Kronj established 3 Shivalingas to please Lord Shiva. The names of these 3 Shivalingas were Kumareshwar, Pratigyeshwar, and Kapaleshwar. Once upon a time, the deities were trying to reach the abode of Lord Shiva, Kailash mountain. Their preceptor Brihaspati was walking ahead of all of them. Meanwhile, a demon by the name of Pralamb started creating turbulence. After being tormented by his activities, Kumud, son of Sheshanag, took Kartikeya's refuge. Kartikeya killed the demon with his divine weapon Shakti. Chapter 2 Section 109 Ganesh. Once Narada had a desire to listen to the tales of Ganesha. Brahmaji replied, "There were various Ganeshas in different kalpas. During the period of Shweta Kalp, Ganesha was born to Shiva and Parvati when they went to Kailash mountain shortly after their marriage. Once while going to take her bath, Parvati instructed Nandi to stand guard at the entrance and not to allow anybody to enter the premise without her permission. Lord Shiva arrived there by chance. Despite of Nandi's refusal to allow him in, he went inside. Parvati did not like this. One day it happened so that once again, Parvati wanted to take her bath. She made an idol from the dirt of her body. She made the idol alive and instructed him not to allow anybody without her permission. She also gave him a stick for his protection. Incidentally, Lord Shiva arrived once again. He tried to enter inside, but Ganesha refused to let him go inside. But when Shiva tried to go inside forcibly, Ganesha hit him with his stick. Lord Shiva became furious and ordered his Ganas to kill him. Chapter 2 Section 110 Ganesha defeats the Shiv Ganas, the deities. The Ganas of Shiva attacked Ganesha, but all of them were no match for him. After being defeated by Ganesha, the Shiv Ganas went to Shiva and narrated everything. While the Shiv Ganas were narrating their stories, Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu and some other deities arrived there. Lord Brahma then went to Ganesha to convince him. But as soon as Ganesha saw him, he tried to attack Lord Brahma. Brahmaji came back without achieving anything. After this, Lord Shiva himself came to fight Ganesha. Chapter 2 Section 111 Shiva severes Ganesha's head. A fierce battle was fought between Shiva and Ganesha. When Lord Shiva realized that Ganesha was dominating the fight, he severed his head with his Trishul. Chapter 2 Section 112 Ganesh becomes alive. Parvati became extremely furious at the death of Ganesha. Her anger resulted into the manifestation of innumerable goddesses, who started creating havoc on the deities. The deities became frightened and they were forced to take the refuge of Parvati. They eulogized her and requested to be pardoned. Parvati told them that they could be saved only when Ganesha becomes alive and becomes worshipable just like the deities. The deities went to Lord Shiva and requested him to make Ganesha alive once again. Lord Shiva instructed them to go in the northern direction and bring the head of any creature they might find and join it with the trunk of Ganesha. The deities followed the instruction and went in the northern direction. They found an elephant which had only one tusk. They severed the elephant's head and joined it with the trunk of Ganesha. By the blessings of Shiva, Ganesha became alive once again. The deities worshipped Ganesha and returned back to their respective abodes. Chapter 2 Section 113 Ganesha's Marriage. Both Kartikeya and Ganesha grew up to become handsome youths in due course of time. Shiva and Parvati started to think about their marriage. When Ganesha and Kartikeya came to know about the plan of their marriage, both of them started quarreling among themselves as to who should get married first. Lord Shiva and Parvati devised a plan to sort out this problem. They told them that whoever between them return after circumambulating the earth will get married first of all. Kartikeya and Ganesha agreed. Kartikeya proceeded on his journey to circumambulate the earth. Ganesha was very intelligent. He requested his parents Lord Shiva and Parvati to sit at a place together and circumambulated them for 7 times and said, according to Veda, circumambulating one's parents give virtues equivalent to that of circumambulating the whole earth. So now you must get me married first. Lord Shiva and Parvati were very impressed by his intelligence. They decided to get him married with Siddhi and Riddhi, the daughter of Viswarup Prajapati. In due course of time 2 sons were born to them, Kshem and Labh. While Kartikeya was returning after circumambulating the whole earth, he met sage Narad on the way. He told Kartikeya about Ganesha's marriage. Kartikeya became very sad and felt like having been cheated by their parents. When Kartikeya reached Kailash mountain, he made salutations to Lord Shiva and Parvati and without saying anything, went to Kranch mountain to do his penance. Parvati was very sad. She went to Kranch mountain to meet Kartikeya accompanied by Shiva. When Kartikeya saw them coming, he moved to another place. Lord Shiva and Parvati followed him and ultimately met him. Both these places have religious significance. Having a darshan of Kartikeya on the full moon day of Kritika Nakashatara is considered to bestow immense auspicious and destroys all the sins of a man. Chapter 2 Section 114 Yuddhkhand, Tripurasura, the 3 demon. Narada requested Lord Brahma to narrate how Lord Shiva annihilated the demons. Lord Brahma narrated the tale of Tripurasura. After the killing of Tarakasura, 3 of his sons started doing their penance. The eldest among them was Tarkasha. Younger to him was Vidyunamali and Kamlaksha was the youngest. I, Brahma, became very pleased by their tremendous penance. They requested me to create 3 invincible forts for them, which should be full of all kinds of wealth and splendor and which nobody could be able to break. A golden fort was constructed for Taraksha. For Kamlaksha a fort of silver was constructed and for Vidyunmali iron fort was constructed. I had ordered the demon named Maya to construct these forts. One of these forts was constructed in the sky, the other was constructed on the earth and the third was constructed in the nether world. After constructing the forts for them, Maya took the responsibility of protecting them. Brahma warned the three demons that they would be killed by Lord Shiva. After this I came back. Chapter 2 Section 115 The deities eulogize Shiva Vishnu. The three demon brothers started tormenting the deities. The deities went to Lord Brahma and narrated about their miseries. Lord Brahma instructed them to seek the help of Shiva. They went to Lord Shiva and explained about their woes. They also requested Shiva to eliminate those three demons. Lord Shiva instructed them to go to Lord Vishnu and said, "The Tripurasurs are very virtuous, so they could not be killed. You all must go to Lord Vishnu and try to seek his help." The deities then went to Lord Vishnu and made the same request. Lord Vishnu performed an oblation. Thousands of armed spirits appeared from the Yajna Kunda. Lord Vishnu sent these spirits to kill the three demon brothers. But these spirits were no match for the Tripurasurs' might and they had to run for their lives. They came to Lord Vishnu and narrated the whole story. Lord Vishnu became very worried. He sent back all the deities and started thinking about the means Tripurasurs could be killed. Chapter 2 Section 116 Emergence of Atheism. Lord Vishnu came to the conclusion that the Tripurasurs could not be killed till they remain virtuous and religious. He then created an illusionary entity from his body who had no hairs on his head. He had worn dirty clothes and a bag was hanging down his shoulder. He also had a broom in his head. The entity asked Lord Vishnu about the purpose of his existence and his name. Lord Vishnu told him that his name was Arihan. He also instructed him to create a scripture which stresses upon the importance of action, Karmavada 0, and which is different from the rituals explained in the Vedas. Lord Vishnu specifically instructed him to keep the language of that scripture as simple and degenerated as possible. Lord Vishnu then preached Arihan on the science of illusion, which stressed that the heaven or the hell does not exist anywhere else, but on this earth itself. Lord Vishnu instructed Arihan to get Tripurasurs initiated into with this philosophy so that the demon brothers become religious. Vishnu ordered Arihan to make his residence in a desert with his disciples. "You should propagate your philosophy when Kali Yuga arrives," said Lord Vishnu. After giving his instruction, Lord Vishnu disappeared. Arihan then created 4 illusionary entities from his being who were supposed to act as his followers. Their names were Rishi, Yati, Kirya, and Upadhyay. Now the time had arrived to enter the forts of Tripurasurs. All of them entered the forts and in a gradual manner started increasing their influence. As a result, the Tripurasurs became religious. Not only that, their subjects too became religious in a very short time. Chapter 2 Section 117 The deities eulogize Lord Shiva. When the deities saw that the Tripurasurs had become religious completely, they went to Lord Shiva and requested him to kill Tripurasurs. Right then Mother Parvati arrived there accompanied by Kartik and Ganesha. She requested Shiva to come along with her into the palace. All the deities followed them and kept on requesting. The deities were angry that Parvati had caused obstacles in the fulfillment of their objective. They could not conceal their anger and expressed it. One of the Ganas of Shiva, whose name was Kumbhodar, angrily attacked the deities. All of them got injured and went to Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu advised them to chant the 5-lettered mantra Om Namah Shivaya for 1 crore times. The deities followed the instruction. Lord Shiva became pleased and appeared before them. He assured the deities that their wishes would be fulfilled. Chapter 2 Section 118 Killings of Tripurasuras. When Shiva agreed to kill the demon brothers Tripurasur, the deities became extremely joyous. They gave their respective weapons to Shiva, so that he did not have any difficulty in killing the demons. Vishwakarma gave his beautiful chariot to him. Lord Shiva proceeded towards the forts of Tripurasur, followed by a huge army of the deities. His army entered the forts of his bow, but he was not able to release it. He remained in this position for 1000 years, but still he was not successful in releasing his arrow. Lord Shiva then worshipped Ganesha and heard a heavenly voice instructing him to use his weapon Pashupat. Lord Shiva released it in the direction of the forts of Tripurasur. All the 3 forts were destroyed by the assault of Pashupat, and it created havoc among the demons. Seeing death and destruction all around them, Tripurasurs prayed to Lord Shiva to have mercy on them. Lord Shiva assured them that after their death they would be born as his Ganas. At last Tripurasurs were burnt to death. Maya was the only demon who survived. After their death, the Tripurasurs were privileged to be reborn as the Ganas of Shiva. Chapter 2 Section 119 The deities receive a boon from Shiva. After the killings of 3 demons Tripurasur, Lord Shiva's anger had still not subdivided. The anger was pacified only after the deities and the sages prayed to him. He blessed the deities by saying that he would always be present on their side to protect them. Maya, who had survived the Shiva's attack, arrived there, and he too was blessed by Lord Shiva. After that, Arihan arrived with his followers and worshipped Shiva. Lord Shiva blessed him and his followers. After taking permission from Lord Vishnu, Arihan proceeded towards a desert region accompanied by his followers. After receiving the boon, the deities too received to their respective abode. Chapter 2 Section 120 Lord Shiva spares the life of Indra. Sutaji narrates the following story to the sages. Once upon a time, Indra was going towards Kailash mountain to have a darshan of Lord Shiva. Sage Brihaspati was accompanying him. Lord Shiva came to know about his arrival. He wanted to test his devotion towards him. While both Indra and Brihaspati were still on their way, Lord Shiva met them on there in the guise of a hermit. Indra did not recognize Shiva, who was sitting on the way disguised as a hermit. Indra inquired as to who he was and where he lived. Lord Shiva sat quietly without saying a word. Indra repeatedly asked the same question, but each time Shiva remained quiet. Indra became furious and tried to attack Lord Shiva with his Vajra. Lord Shiva paralyzed the raised hands of Indra by his divine power. Shiva's eyes had reddened due to anger, which made Indra very frightened. Sage Brihaspati was able to recognize the real identity of the hermit as to who he was. He made salutations to Lord Shiva and requested him to pardon Indra. Lord Shiva became pleased and diverted the power of his radiant eyes to the ocean. This way Indra's life was spared by Shiva. Lord Shiva then returned to Kailash mountain. Indra and Sage Brihaspati to Kailash mountain. Indra and Sage Brihaspati too returned to their respective abodes. Chapter 2 Section 121 Manifestation of Jaladhar. The effulgence, which had been divided by Lord Shiva into the ocean, resulted into the manifestation of a small child. This incident happened at the place where river Ganges submerged into the ocean and which is also known as Ganga Sagar nowadays. The child was crying so ferociously that an environment of fear was created everywhere. The deities and the sages went to Lord Brahma to satisfy their curiosity. Lord Brahma assured them to find out the reason. He went to the seashore. The sea put the child in his lap and inquired about the name of that child and also about his future. Meanwhile, the child pressed Lord Brahma's neck with such power that tears rolled down from his eyes. For this reason he named the child as Jalandhar. Lord Brahma told the sea that the child will become the mighty ruler of the demons. No deity would be able to kill him except Shiva. The sea was very pleased by Lord Brahma's predictions. After Lord Brahma returned to his abode, the sea brought that child to his home and brought up that child with great love and care. When Jalandhar grew up, he married Vrinda, who was the daughter of Kalnemi. Later on he became the ruler of the demons. Chapter 2 Section 122 Battle between Jalandhar the deities. One day sage Bhrigu came to meet Jalandhar. After receiving him with due respect, Jalandhar asked him as to who severed the head of Rahu. Sage Bhrigu then told him about Hiranyakashipu, who was the maternal uncle of Rahu. Sage Bhrigu also told him about Virochana, the son of the extremely charitable King Bali. Then Sage Bhrigu narrated the tale connected with the churning of ocean and how ambrosia emerged from the churning of the ocean. Sage Bhrigu told Jalandhar how Rahu's head was severed by Lord Vishnu while he was sitting among the deities and at the time when ambrosia was being distributed to all the deities. Jalandhar became very furious after hearing this story. He summoned one of his messengers whose name was Ghasmarya and instructed him to go and ask Indra as to why had he misappropriated all the wealth of his father, sea, which emerged during the churning of sea. He also instructed Ghasmar to warn Indra about the dire consequences unless he takes his, Indra's, refuge. But Indra sent back Ghasmar without any specific assurance. This action of Indra made Jalandhar more angry than before. He collected his army and attacked Indra. A fierce battle was fought between his army and the army of the deities. Many warriors got killed from both the sides. Shukracharya, the guru of the deities, brought back the dead warriors from the demon side back to life by his Mrita Sanjivani Vidya. Similarly, sage Brihaspati brought back the dead warriors from the deities side back to life with the help of medicinal herbs. When Shukracharya saw that sage Brihaspati too was successfully making the dead deities alive, he instructed Jalandhar to submerge the Drongiri mountain into the sea, so that it becomes impossible for Brihaspati to get the medicinal herbs by the help of which he made the dead deities alive. Jalandhar obeyed the command of Shukracharya and by lifting the Drongiri mountain submerged it into the sea. The deities became demoralized and fled from the battlefield. Jalandhar captured Indrapuri. Chapter 2 Section 123 Battle between Lord Vishnu Jalandhar. The terrified deities took the refuge of Lord Vishnu and sought his help. Lord Vishnu gave a patient hearing and agreed to help them, but there was a hitch. His consort goddess Lakshmi considered Jalandhar as her brother because both of them originated from the sea. She instructed Lord Vishnu against killing Jalandhar. Lord Vishnu promised to her that he won't kill Jalandhar. After giving his word to goddess Lakshmi, he went to fight a battle with Jalandhar. A fierce battle was fought between both of them which remained indecisive till the end. Lord Vishnu became very much impressed by the valiance of Jalandhar and asked him to demand any boon he liked. Jalandhar requested him to make his dwelling in the Kshirosagar the abode of Jalandhar, along with his sister, Lakshmi. Lord Vishnu agreed to fulfill his wish and started living in the Kshirosagar along with his consort Lakshmi. Being undefeated by Lord Vishnu himself, Jalandhar became the ruler of all the three worlds. All his subjects were satisfied by his just and virtuous rule, except the deities. The deities now eulogized Lord Shiva to seek his help in defeating Jalandhar. Chapter 2 Section 124 Narad's Stratagem. According to the wish of Lord Shiva, sage Narad came to meet the deities. The deities narrated their woeful tales to him. Feeling pity on their condition, he went accorded a grand reception by Jalandhar, which pleased him very much. Narad praised the splendors and prosperity of Jalandhar but added that it was nothing in comparison to Shiva's splendors. Narad told him that in spite of all his authority and splendors, his prosperity was still incomplete, as he did not have a consort. Jalandhar asked curiously as to where could he find his consort. According to his strategy, Narada advised Jalandhar to make Parvati as his consort. Jalandhar fell into Narad's trap. He sent Rahu to Lord Shiva with a proposal to part with Parvati. Rahu went to Lord Shiva and demanded Parvati, which made Lord Shiva extremely furious. His anger resulted into the manifestation of a ferocious creature, which ran towards Rahu to devour him. Rahu had no option but to take the refuge of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva protected the life of Rahu. The hungry creature asked Shiva as to what should he eat to satisfy his hunger. Lord Shiva instructed him to devour his own limbs. The creative followed his instructions and devoured his limbs. Lord Shiva was very pleased by his sense of obedience. He named that creature of his palace. He also blessed him, saying that he too would be worshipped along with him, Shiva. Chapter 2 Section 125 Battle between Lord Shiva Jalandhar. Rahu went back to Jalandhar and narrated the whole story to him. Jalandhar then attacked Kailash mountain with his huge army. A fierce battle was fought between the Shiva Ganas and the demons. When Jalandhar realized that Lord Shiva had begun to dominate the battle, he created beautiful apsaras and Gandharvas by his illusory powers to divert the attention of Lord Shiva and his Ganas. He was successful in his attempt. Lord Shiva and his Ganas became enchanted by the heavenly beauty of the apsaras. They stopped fighting and started watching their dance and music. Meanwhile, Jalandhar went to Parvati in the guise of Lord Shiva but was recognized by her. Being enchanted by the beauty of Goddess Parvati, he looked at her with his evil intentions, but was immobilized by her wrath. Mother Parvati then went to Lord Vishnu and narrated the whole story. She wanted to teach Jalandhar a lesson. She requested Lord Vishnu to go to Jalandhar's wife in the guise of Jalandhar and act in the same way Jalandhar had dared to do. Chapter 2 Section 126 Vrinda gets dishonored. With the help of his divine powers, Lord Vishnu created many inauspicious dreams while Vrinda was asleep. Vrinda became very restless, and when the anxieties became unbearable, she proceeded towards the forest. Vrinda saw a hermit in the forest who was preaching his disciples. The hermit was none other than Lord Vishnu. She went to that hermit and prayed to save her husband's life. Lord Vishnu disappeared from the scene and reappeared this time in the guise of Jalandhar. But Vrinda was unable to recognize the real identity of her husband. She was very pleased after finding her husband. Both of them stayed in that very forest as husband and wife for a very long time. One day, came to know about the real identity of the person who was impersonating as her husband. Realizing that her chastity has been breached, she cursed Lord Vishnu by saying that just as he had played a deceitful trick with her, in the same way somebody would deceitfully abduct his wife and he too would wander in her search. After cursing Lord Vishnu, Vrinda embraced death by entering into the fire. Chapter 2 Section 127 Killing of Jalandhar. On the other side, after the departure of Parvati from Kailash mountain and after the illusionary powers created by Jalandhar had ended, all the Apsaras and Gandharvas vanished. Shiva realized that whatever he was watching was nothing more than illusion. Lord Shiva recommenced his battle. The demons Shumbha and Nishumbh came forward to fight with him, but ultimately they had to flee from the battlefield. Lord Shiva warned both of them that though they had escaped death at that moment, but they would be killed by Parvati. Now Jalandhar Yogan arrived to fight with Lord Shiva. A fierce battle commenced between them. Finding an opportune time, Shiva severed the head of Jalandhar by his chakra which had been created from his toe. After his death, Jalandhar's soul united with Shiva. Chapter 2 Section 128 The deities expressed gratitude. When the deities came to know about the killing of Jalandhar, they became overjoyed. They came to Lord Shiva and eulogized him. They also hailed his great achievement. After expressing their gratitude, they returned to their respective abodes. Chapter 2 Section 129 Manifestation of Amla, Myrabalan, Tulsi, Basil, and Malati. Lord Vishnu was very much saddened by the death of Vrinda. He took the ashes from the pyre and after applying them on his body started wandering here and there. The deities became very worried to see the condition of Lord Vishnu. They went to Lord Shiva and requested him to eliminate the false attachment with which Sri Vishnu was suffering. Lord Shiva sent the deities to Goddess Parvati, saying that she would certainly help in this regard. The deities went to Goddess Parvati and prayed to her. She became very pleased and with the assistance of Lakshmi and Saraswati, gave some seeds to them. The deities spread those seeds on the pyre, on which Vrinda had given up her life. 3 holy plants manifested from that pyre: Amla, Tulsi, and Malati. Later on Tulsi and Malati attained to the Vishnu Loka, by the virtue of their respective penance. Chapter 2 Section 130 Birth of Shankhachuda. Sutaji narrated the tale of the birth of Shankhachuda and how Shiva killed him with his Trishul. He told the sages that Shankhachuda was born to the demon king Dambho. Shankhachuda was in fact Sudama in his previous life. He was born in the family of demons due to the curse of Radha. Chapter 2 Section 131 Shankhachuda's marriage. When Shankhachuda grew up, he went to Pushkar, Ajmer, Rajasthan, and did a tremendous penance to please Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma blessed him and said that he would remain invincible. He also instructed Shankhachuda to go to Badrikashram where he would find his would-be wife Tulsi, the daughter of Dharmadhvaja. Shankhachuda went to Badrikashram and married Tulsi as per the instructions of Lord Brahma. He then returned back to his capital accompanied by his wife Tulsi. Chapter 2 Section 132 Shankhachuda becomes the ruler of all 3 worlds. When Shankhachuda reached his capital after marrying Tulsi, he was crowned as the king of the demons by Shukracharya. After his coronation, Shankhachuda attacked Indrapuri supported by his huge army and defeated the deities. In a very short time all the 3 worlds were under his control. After being defeated by Shankhachuda, the deities went to Lord Brahma and sought his help in eliminating the menace called Shankhachuda. Lord Brahma then took them to Lord Vishnu. All of them were taken to Lord Shiva by Vishnuji. They expressed their request to liberate them from the troubles created by Shankhachuda. Chapter 2 Section 133 Shiva assures the deities. Lord Shiva assured the deities that he will certainly kill Shankhachura and hence they should not worry about him. The deities then happily returned to their respective abodes. Chapter 2 Section 134 Conversation between Pushpadant Shankhachura. Lord Shiva sent his messenger named Pushpadant to Shankhachura to ask him to return back the kingdom of the deities to them. Shankhachura refused to oblige this demand. On the contrary, he expressed his willingness and readiness to fight Lord Shiva. Pushpadant returned back and narrated the whole story to Lord Shiva. Chapter 2 Section 135 Shiva proceeds with his army. Lord Shiva was now fully convinced about the inevitability of the battle. He first sent all his Ganas under the leadership of Kartikeya and Ganesha. Later on, Bhadrakali proceeded towards the battlefield with a huge army as per the own wish of Lord Shiva himself. At last Lord Shiva proceeded towards the battlefield accompanied by the deities. All the troops collected at the bank of river Chandrabhaga and rested under the shade of a banyan tree. Chapter 2 Section 136 Shankhachura proceeds with his army. Shankhachura handed over the kingdom to his son and went to his wife to take her permission before going to the battlefield. His wife was reluctant to allow him to go, but he somehow managed to convince her. He then proceeded towards the banks of Chandrabhaga with a huge army. Chapter 2 Section 137 Battle between the deities and the demons. A fierce battle started between the deities and the demons. Both of them attacked each other with the most destructive weapons. But when the army of Chandrachura began to dominate the fight, the deities fled away and took the refuge of Lord Shiva. They told Shiva of the number of deities who had been killed while fighting. Chapter 2 Section 138 The battle between Shiva's family Shankhachura. After the defeat of the deities and the Ganas, Kartikeya and Ganesha went to fight Shankhachura. A spectacular battle was fought between Shankhachura and both of them. Later on they were joined by Bhadrakali. Bhadrakali would have devoured Shankhachura without any problem, but she spared his life because of the boon given to him by Lord Brahma. Now it was the turn of Lord Shiva to join the battle, but even he could not cause any harm to him because of Lord Brahma's boon. Chapter 2 Section 139 Strategy employed to kill Shankhachura. While a tremendous battle was being fought between Lord Shiva and Shankhachura, Lord Vishnu appeared and demanded the armor from Shankhachura, which he had put on his body in the guise of a Brahmin. Shankhachura gave his armor to him without any kind of suspicion. Lord Vishnu then went to Shankhachura's wife in the guise of her husband, that is Shankhachura. He destroyed the chastity of Tulsi, Shankhachura's wife. Shankhachura derived his power from the chastity of his wife and it vanished the moment her chastity was destroyed. Chapter 2 Section 140 Lord Shiva kills Shankhachura. Bhadrakali was creating havoc in the army of Shankhachura. Shankhachura became very furious and attacked Shiva. Shiva repulsed his assault and attacked him with his Trishul. Shankhachura, who had become powerless, was killed instantaneously. The deities were very pleased at the death of Shankhachura. After worshipping Lord Shiva, they went back to their respective abodes. Chapter 2 Section 141 Tulsi curses Lord Vishnu. After being instructed by Goddess Parvati, Lord Vishnu had gone to Tulsi in the guise of her husband Shankhachura, so that the breach of Tulsi chastity could help Lord Shiva to kill Shankhachura. who derived his power from Tulsi's chastity and virtuosity. Initially, Tulsi could not recognize Lord Vishnu. She was extremely joyous at his arrival. But very soon she was able to realize the real identity of Lord Vishnu, who had disguised himself as her husband. She became very angry and cursed Lord Vishnu to become a stone. She was crying inconsolably. Lord Vishnu contemplated on Shiva, as a result of which he appeared. Lord Shiva blessed Tulsi that she would become the beloved of Lord Vishnu. Due to Tulsi's curse, Lord Vishnu attained the form of Shaligram, which is a stone, and because of Lord Shiva's blessings, Tulsi leaves started being offered to the Shaligram in the process of its worship. Chapter 2, Section 142, Killing of Hiranyaksha. Hiranyakashipu was filled with grief when he heard the news of his brother's death. To avenge Hiranyaksha's death, he started to torment the deities. Becoming homeless, the deities started wandering here and there. Hiranyakashipu was still unsatisfied. He wanted to acquire more power and authority. He went to the Mandarachal mountain and started doing a tremendous penance to please Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma appeared before him and asked him to demand anything he wished to be fulfilled. Hiranyakashipu said, "O Lord, bless me so that I do neither die during the day nor during the night, neither on the earth nor in the sky, neither by the deities nor by the demons, neither by a human being nor by an animal. Bless me, O Lord, oh that I do not get killed by any type of weapon." Lord Brahma blessed Hiranyakashipu and said, "So be it." Now, Hiranyakashipu became more ruthless and arrogant. He declared himself the Almighty God and ordered his subjects to worship him and his idol. His son Prahalad was a very great devotee of Lord Vishnu. He did not pay heed to his father's command and continued to worship Lord Vishnu. Hiranyakashipu tried to kill Prahalada many times, but each time he survived by the blessings of Lord Vishnu. When Hiranyakashipu's atrocities crosses all its limits, the deities went to Lord Vishnu and requested him to kill Hiranyakashipu. Lord Vishnu appeared in his incarnation of Narsimha, half lion and half man, and killed Hiranyakashipu with his sharp nails during the dusk. After giving his kingdom to his son Prahlad, Lord Vishnu went back to his abode. Chapter 2, Section 143, Lord Shiva teaches the secrets of Mrita Sanjeevani Vidya to Shukracharya. Shukracharya did a severe penance for 5,000 years to please Shiva and acquire the secrets of Mrita Sanjeevani Vidya, bringing back dead person alive from him. When Lord Shiva did not appear even after such a tremendous penance, then he indulges himself in severest form of penance, by quitting having food and water. He now started living only on air. This continued for thousands of years. Lord Shiva became very pleased with his penance. He manifested from the very Shivlinga Shukracharya had been worshipping till now. He taught the secrets of Mrita Sanjeevani Vidya to him and told him that by the help of this Vidya he would become capable of making alive the dead persons. Lord Shiva also blessed Shukracharya to become a star and attain respectability among all the planets. After blessing Shukracharya like this, Lord Shiva disappeared into the same Shivlinga from which he had appeared. Chapter 2, Section 144, Andhak's Splendors. Once, Andhak brothers jokingly told him that, since his real parents were somebody else, Shiva and Parvati, therefore he was not fit to rule them. Though they had told this in good humor, yet Andhak was very much saddened by their remark. He relinquished his throne and went to a deserted place in the forest and started to do a severe penance. Lord Brahma became very pleased by his penance and appeared before him. He asked him to demand anything he wished to be fulfilled. Andhak said, "I only long for the love and affection of my brothers. O Lord, bless me so that nobody should be able to kill one except Lord Shiva." Lord Brahma blessed him and said, "So be it." Andhak returned to his kingdom, and with the cooperation of his brothers like Prahlad etc., he brought even the deities under his control. But drunk with power, he became very arrogant and started tormenting all the creatures. He did not show any respect to the Vedas, Brahmin and the deities. Chapter 2 Section 145 Battle between Lord Shiva and Andhak. Andhak had become so arrogant that once he even dared to dishonor his own mother Parvati, who at that time was living at the Mandarachal mountain. Shiva became very furious with him. Andhak attacked Shiva with his huge army. Lord Shiva sent his numerous Ganas to fight him, but all of them were killed by Andhak. When Lord Shiva got the news of the arrival of Andhak with his army, he sent Lord Vishnu and his remaining Ganas to fight him. He himself went to perform his austerity named Pashupat. The deities fought with Andhak for 1000 years. Meanwhile, Lord Shiva returned after completing his Pashupat Vrat and joined them. Seeing Lord Shiva in front of him, Andhak became furious and attacked him ferociously. His companion, whose name was Vidas, devoured all the deities. The demons who had been killed in the battle were brought back to life by Shukracharya. Lord Shiva became very angry and swallowed Shukracharya. He also extracted the deities from the stomach of Vidas who had been swallowed by him earlier. After that, Lord Shiva attacked Andhak with his trident, which injured him. But from each drop of his blood which fell on the ground, manifested thousands of demons who resembled Andhak. Lord Shiva then instructed Goddess Chandika to drink the blood, while he killed all the demons. Goddess Chandika followed the instructions of Shiva and drank each drop of blood, which oozed out from the wounds of the demons, and did not let single drop of blood to fall on the ground. After killing all the demons, Lord Shiva lifted Andhak with his trident and hanged him between the earth and sky. Andhak remained there for a very long period of time, bearing the heat of the sun and the showers of rain, but he remained alive. Ultimately, he had to take the refuge of Lord Shiva to save his life. Lord Shiva became pleased by his eulogy and made him his Ganadhis, leader of all the Ganas. Chapter 2 Section 146 Re-emergence of Shukracharya. When Lord Shiva swallowed up Shukracharya, he became very restless and started to find out a way through which he could come out from Shiva's stomach. But all of his efforts went in vain. Finding no other option, he started to chant the name of Lord Shiva. His chantings continued for 100 years. By the blessings of Shiva, he came out from Shiva's stomach through the ejaculated semen. After coming out, Shukracharya eulogized Lord Shiva. Shiva became pleased with him and showered him with affection just like his own son. After being blessed, Shukracharya went and rejoined the army of the demons. Chapter 2 Section 147 Killing of Gajasur. Goddess Durga had killed the demon Mahishasur, who used to torment the deities. Gajasur was the son of Mahishasur. To avenge his father's death, Gajasur did a tremendous penance to please Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma appeared before him and asked him to demand any boon. Gajasur said, "O Lord, even a Jitendriya, one who has full control over his senses, should not be able to kill me. Lord Brahma blessed him by saying, so be it. Gradually, Gajasura's atrocities crossed all limits. He became the lord of all the three worlds. He forced even the deities to worship him. He used to torment the Brahmins and the other religious people. One day Gajasura arrived at Kashi and started tormenting the people living over there. The deities came to Lord Shiva and requested him to rescue Kashi by killing Gajasura. Lord Shiva came to Kashi and fought a battle with Gajasura. He killed Gajasura with this trident. At the time of his death, Gajasura eulogized Lord Shiva and requested him to put his, Gajasura's, skin on his, Shiva's, body. Lord Shiva agreed to fulfill his wish. At the spot where Gajasura was killed, a famous Shivlinga by the name of Krittivaseshwar was constructed as per the own wish of Lord Shiva. Chapter 2 Section 148 Killing of Nirhadaitya. Diti was filled with grief when she came to know about her sons, Hiranyaksha, death, who was killed by Lord Vishnu. Nirhadaitya, who was the maternal uncle of Prahlad, consoled her and promised to avenge the death of Hiranyaksha. He thought to destroy the Vedic religion. According to him, the deities derived their strength and power from this very Vedic religion. He planned to eliminate the priestly class Brahmins, so that the chances of yagyas being performed becomes extinct, and the deities were starved to such an extent that they became weak and powerless. Thinking that then it would not be very difficult to kill the weak deities, Nirhadaitya arrived at Kashi to execute his plan, which during those times was the chief center of the Brahmins. He attained the form of a tiger and stationed himself in a nearby forest. He used to kill any Brahmin who used to come over there to collect kusha grass and fuel. With the help of his illusionary powers, he used to attain the form of a hermit during the daytime and lived among them. But during the night, he used to enter into the houses of the Brahmins in the form of a tiger and used to devour them. On one night of Shivratri, when a Brahmin was busy worshipping Lord Shiva, Nirhadaitya, who was in the form of a tiger, entered the temple. But, since the Brahmin was engaged in the worship of Lord Shiva, he could not harm the Brahmin. Lord Shiva emerged from the very Shivlinga, which the Brahmin was worshipping, and punched the demon with his clenched fist, so hard that he died. Chapter 2 Section 149 Killing of Vidal and Utpal. Long ago there used to live two demons by the names of Vidul and Utpal. Both of them did a tremendous penance to please Lord Brahma. After being blessed by Lord Brahma, they became very arrogant and started tormenting the deities and the Brahmins. The deities went to Lord Brahma and sought his help. Lord Brahma told them that both the demons would be killed by Goddess Parvati very soon. He also instructed the deities to eulogize Shiva and Parvati to seek their blessings. The deities went back and started eulogizing Shiva and Parvati. One fateful day, Vidal and Utpal arrived at the place where Goddess Parvati was having amusements with her companions. Vidal and Utpal had disguised themselves as the Ganas of Shiva. Lord Shiva recognized the real identity of the demons. He signaled towards Parvati, pointing towards the demons. Parvati, who was playing with a ball with her companions, understood what Lord Shiva meant to say. She hit both of them with the ball, with such force that both the demons died on the spot. The ball then fell down on the ground and transformed into a Shivlinga, which became as Kandukeshwar. The deities became very pleased at the death of Vidal and Utpal.